Baseball Card Illustrated is back.
The show about baseball illustrated with baseball cards.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Bronko, and this is 2020 Topps Heritage.
So for those of you who collected cards going back how many ever years, Topps Heritage is really for you if you are a vintage collector because they are current players in an old card design. So the way they do it,
and an upside down card design.
I like that. Upside down cards are worth more, aren't they? These 2020 Topps Heritage cards are built in the design of 1971. They don't do exactly 50 years. They, for some reason, do 49 years instead of 50. So it helps you with math, I think, but it's 1971.
And with that said, it's pack one. Card one coming up is Chicago Cubs All-Star Chris Bryant.
Wow. Check it out. So the design, the black border design, was a huge problem in the set, and it has been a huge problem since the early 70s. And you can see what a new card looks like out of the pack. That's the number one thing for me is those old 1971s, even the ones listed in near mint condition, have all these dings on the outside and down the edges.
I'm going to say it starts as a PSA 8 coming out of the pack practically.
Yeah, if you have a 7, it's the same as a 4.5 in any other set.
Move on to some pitching leaders, the other side of the equation there.
Oh, look at this. Hang on a second. I didn't realize we had two Houston Astros going on here. Oh, it doesn't work for pitchers, does it?
Not as well. Just to throw another team off, that's how they'll signal pitches because nobody would really know what to do at that point.
What does 5 bangs mean? I don't get it. The crazy thing to me about this is Justin Verlander and Garrett Cole were 2/3 of the amazing, cheating or not, Astros team of that rotation that they had. And then Eduardo Rodriguez? So what is the leader? What are we leading in here?
If only there were a way to find out.
Is it ERA? Like, you know, it's Eduardo Rodriguez.
Just in pitching.
He's the third best pitcher in the American League. Sorry, rest of the American League.
Of all the people pitching, apparently they were among them and at the best of doing such a thing.
Two Astros in a picture we happen to have.
Okay, we'll work on that as we bring up a new card of a San Francisco Giant for Roger Craig.
Okay, first thought on this one. This looks very Olin Mills. Was that an actual background or has he been photoshopped? And by the way, there's an interesting thought in this quarantine time that we're in. Baseball card companies are about to have to get creative. They had photo day, just so you know, in spring training 2020, they have the day where the players show up for baseball cards. So they have that, so they can live off of it. But how do you do sets later in the year? There won't be a traded issue because no one's getting traded. Do they do traded issues anymore?
I was going to say, they got the updates, and primarily it's been a way to get your rookie cards and your first card of whoever it might be, but you're certainly not going to have people in different jerseys unless it's somebody that's with a new team that was already, Top Series 1, you might have people on old teams, but even some of the cards there, they have some short prints of, like Garrett Cole on the Yankees or things along those lines. So I don't know exactly what the story is there, but I guess we'll find out at some point as we move on to John Gray.
There he is. Bye, Brandon Crawford.
See ya.
He's gone. What he did for me in fantasy for years, I'm okay with that. Another thing I like is that they try to, everything about the 71 Topps card is replicated with the Topps Heritage. This makes me very happy because you have the facsimile autograph, you have the same black borders and colors and designs, but you also have those same poses.
Now, what I don't remember from 1971 is how the Rockies did.
Yeah.
I don't remember them winning a game that year,
No.
but I could be wrong.
The Rockies were probably some single-A farm team of a major league team at that point. John Gray.
I wonder if they did any parallels of Nationals cards as Expos instead.
Oh, that's a fantastic idea. Oh, look at here. There's a National and a Cub. Ferguson Jenkins and Steven Strasburg.
Then and now. and what you got to admit is great is they've got the social distancing going on.
Yes,
there.
6 feet apart between Fergie and Steven Strasburg.
So little did they know when they created this particular card that they were going to have that vision of the future that we're going to need to keep people separated.
So here's what I want to know. Again, what's the similar? Are we just putting people randomly on cards? Because Fergie Jenkins was Canadian and an amazing pitcher. Steven Strasburg, an amazing pitcher from his generation. Definitely not Canadian.
I don't think Fergie Jenkins made quite as much money either.
And Strasburg was better at growing the facial hair or impersonating an Amish person.
And that, I guess, takes us into the World Series with this particular item here.
Whoa! Game 7 of the World Series. Howie Kendrick with the clutch home run. No trash cans banged. Howie Kendrick. So you know the moment because you've seen the game. It was the last game that counted before this taping, at least, in late October of 2019. And I was reading something about this the other day that, Howie Kendrick or Kirk Gibson or any of the main players that of the last 30, 40 years and the reaction shots that they hit on home runs or on big moments started because of Carlton Fisk in 1975. Sure. The reason why we have the hero shot in baseball today is because of a rat. 1975, Carlton Fisk hits the home run to win Game 6 of the World Series. He does the dance,
sure,
waves the ball fair. The camera operator that got that shot was supposed to follow the ball. He was stationed in left field, and his job was to follow the ball off of the foul pole. And he said to they communicate by headset, and he said to his director, "I can't move." This is when Fisk was at the plate. He said, "There is a rat the size of a cat on my leg looking at me." So when Fisk hit the home run, the camera operator is terrified. He can't move. So instead of moving his camera, he holds it on Carlton Fisk, and he gets one of the great shots of baseball history. And Howie Kendrick's reaction was due in part to Carlton Fisk, the emotion of the moment.
How's that for a did you know? What do you know about Will Myers? More than you probably want to.
Yeah. Can I share a personal Will Myers story?
Absolutely, go for it.
You've all done this in a fantasy draft. I wanted someone. I was choosing between a couple of people. The seconds started to tick, 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 tick. I click Will Myers and draft with 1 second to go, except my mouse dragged upward just a tiny bit at the very last second, and I ended up with career Phillies minor leaguer DRB Myers instead. And the best part was when I tweeted about it, DRB Myers liked it.
Really?
He did.
Wow. Although I bet at this point the Padres probably wish they were paying DeAndre Myers' contract instead.
That's a lot of money.
Taking a look at the rest of this pack here, we got Sean Doolittle from the World Champion Nationals. And Brewers closer, Josh Hader.
Look at Josh Hader. He's that's a lot of hair, man. That could be an early 70s thing, right? Did they have a lot of hair? Maybe more of a late 70s thing. I just went into the archives of Baseball Card Illustrated and dug that one up. Oh, you can't see it with the light, but that is DRB Myers right there. We got one of his cards after this happened.
Is that a refractor or just a chrome card? I can't tell.
Aren't they one and the same?
I was gonna say
there's a bunch of colors coming off of that, reds and greens and blues.
And you've drafted him.
Yep, he was a part of an actual winning fantasy team. I dropped him the next day, but he was part of a winning fantasy team.
Well, there you go, and we'll have more packs of 2020 Topps Heritage right after this.
We have dusted off the shot-o-meter to keep track of subscribers here at Baseball Card Illustrated. While we still have a way to go to catch up to the batting average of the Cubs shortstop, we appreciate your support and invite you to hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and leave a comment to let us know what you think of the channel. We thank you for watching, and here is the next pack of 2020 Topps Heritage.
Pack 2 of 2020 Topps Heritage here on Baseball Card Illustrated.
If you're a fan of very large cars with very poor gas mileage, you probably remember 1971 Topps cards.
Ooh, look at this one.
That came out of a pack?
Yeah, that's just one of those things that they put in occasionally.
But does it have value? Is it autographed?
I think what we can do is make our own card with that.
Invisible ink? Oh, we absolutely can.
Oh, it goes well with Javi Baez here, a little miniature
maybe that's
card.
why. Wow, check that out.
That doesn't look centered very well. Oh wait, the card is fine. It's just this white backdrop. There we go.
Javier Baez. That's an old design. I feel like that's from maybe an old like cigarette card design or something. I don't know. That's new.
And actually, I'll flip it around so you can see the back because there's not much there other than his name.
Wow. It looks like we're looking at prototypes.
A little bit.
Like, oh, we'll fill this in with some information about his career. Wow,
So
fascinating.
this is a pretty good pull, I'm thinking.
Yeah? Insert Javier Baez card.
Okay, now we'll move on to the other team out of the Windy City.
Alex Colomé, he is looking at you angrily. But it is a sunny day wherever he is.
He's getting a little too close to Roger Craig. I think we should probably put him over here so no violence ensues.
Yes, no. Home baby may not understand it, although what we learned from previous Baseball Card Illustrated is Roger Craig might lead Alex Colomé to the postseason, which is something the White Sox haven't done that much in the last 10 or 15 years.
And now it's rookie time here on Baseball Card Illustrated. We're moving to St. Louis.
Wow. Junior Fernandez. And let me tell you the two words that are most important if you are someone trying to become great in the game of baseball. Cardinals and pitcher. Every single year the Cardinals pull somebody out of their farm system and you're like, I've never heard of Kevin Segrist. Why does he throw 99 miles an hour? So I would watch out for Junior Fernandez because of the bird and the name there.
I was going to say, it'd be like being some kind of prospect coming through the Astros organization.
And also Randy Arozarena, I think, is Dexter Fowler with the bat on the other shoulder. Hey, Dexter, come over here and put bat right-handed for a second.
All right, so pack number 1, we had the pitcher's leaders cards, which was kind of a little nondescript. This is an actual leader card that you can understand and follow. This is RBI leaders.
It's categorical. And it's Anthony Rendon, Freddie Freeman, and Pete Alonso. It's amazing. You're talking National League East for all three of those. So there were plenty of runs to be driven in the National League Eastern Division. Nationals, Braves, and Mets. And the Nationals won a World Series, much to the dismay of Montreal. And then Anthony Rendon left, much to the dismay of Washington.
And J.P. Crawford got in the mix somehow.
So we've had 2 packs and 2 shortstops named Crawford.
With a giant bat.
Yeah, is that regulation? What's that made of?
It kind of looks like one of those red, huge wiffle ball bats. The Big Bomber or whatever they call it.
How is he swinging that so rapidly? That's kind of crazy. There's a lot there. I don't think you would see the full sleeve tattoos in 1971. Maybe not on baseball players in 1971, but there you go.
Moving on to Jason Kipnis from the Cleveland Indians.
Now, I have a theory about this. I think Kipnis had to be in this set because he was actually in the 1971 set. I feel like he's been with the Indians that long.
I was going to say, I think he's been a trade rumor every year since 1971 as well.
He was once rumored to be traded for Dave Kingman 4 times in a season in the late 70s. Jason Kipnis. And the worst thing is, 2020, at least in the early part, is also a year in which he didn't play, but not his own fault.
Did you know that Jason Kipnis was once traded for Jason Kipnis? In a deal that somehow involved the Indians and the Cleveland Indians.
Swapped to themselves, and they gained nothing out of the deal. By the way, that did happen in baseball.
I know it's happened.
Someone traded for themselves.
But
There's Buster.
there's Buster Posey.
So, we love all teams equally here on Baseball Card Illustrated. But I will tell you, I had a friend that lived in San Francisco during the run of championships that they had, 2010, 2012, 2014, and he was not a Giants fan. He came to call their fan base Buster Posers.
So he must have loved the odd-numbered years in that decade a lot more than the even-numbered years.
It was a little easier to deal with than 10, 12, and 14. Of course, Buster Posey, by the time it's said and done, will be among the absolute greats to have ever played catcher in the game. But yeah, Buster Poser, that lends itself very well.
Now, Buster Posey is a guy that is in the process. Well, I'm not even trying to say in the process. Has changed positions and does a little bit more than catch these days. This guy here, his father did the same thing during his career.
Hey!
We talked about him on a previous edition with 1989 Topps when we pulled a Craig Biggio,
Wow.
who was a catcher that moved to second base. Well, his son is a second baseman for the Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays have built an entire team around sons of major leaguers. Bo Bichette is on that roster. Vlad Jr. is on that roster. And Kevin Biggio is on that roster. Now, here's the crazy thing. Vlad Jr., you in a room of 1,000 people, Vlad Jr. looks like Vlad Guerrero. You would pick him out. Bo Bichette looks exactly like young Dante Bichette. Like, those are spot on. That's not Craig Biggio at all. Like, he got some of mom's genes, because he doesn't look anything like Craig.
Well, maybe that's why he started out playing second base instead of catching.
Is he going to do this in reverse? Your 2022 Blue Jays catcher, Kevin Biggio.
I was going to say, has anyone ever gone from like a infielder to catcher, an outfielder to catcher? You see it the opposite way, like Craig Biggio did occasionally.
Yeah, Dale Murphy started as a catcher. I can't imagine going.
I was going to say that would be, you would think, too difficult of a transition. Maybe somebody that played multiple positions, they would have tried somewhere else and made a full-time catcher if they could do it. But usually if you're a catcher, they want to keep you there until you prove you can't do it. Or in the case of like a Joe Mauer, you can do it, but as your career moves on, they move you to a different spot, or they want you in they want you in a lineup.
Right.
Like you see with like Yasmani Grandal, for example, who they tried at first base for the Brewers from time to time last year. But that was obviously more on a limited basis, but
see, you just cover that up, a Biggio. Just like, wait, all you have to do is take a black marker. That's what they do with the 71s to make them look better. The Sharpie. Where's my Sharpie? You got a Sharpie? Yeah. I won't actually mark on your cards because these are actually worth something. But yeah, if you just mark up, it's the exact same color.
I got a Biggio card.
Biggio.
And finally, we're going to move to the Marlins, and not necessarily a question about this particular player, but what do you think of the hats? I remember years ago when they came out, the orange design and everything, and it at least took a little bit of time getting used to be charitable. What are your thoughts on it these days as you kind of look back on the introduction of that and how awful it was to maybe present-day feelings on such a thing?
Iteration number 5 or 6 of the crazy Marlins hat. I mean, even the 90s teal was successful mostly because teal was okay in the 90s. Like if teal was not a thing in the 90s, the Marlins would have been a laughing stock.
I'm gonna say that kind of screamed 90s.
Yeah, Hornets, Sharks, everything was teal. But when teal went away, the Marlins lost their identity. Boy, that's a Miami thing to say. And so they went to bright orange and they went to bright whatever. Their stadium is a giant. What's the thing? Simon Says. There's an orange quadrant painted all orange. There's a yellow, there's a green, and there's a blue. And so you remember the old Simon Says. Mm-hmm. I feel like that it should be boo boop boo boo boop. Pressing the different colors. It's weird.
You've been to that stadium, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that how the ushers tell you where to go if you're looking for a certain spot? Like, I'm in section 17. Boop, 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 boop. And that's how you know where to go.
Well, really, if you're at a game, the ushers just thank you for coming.
Sit anywhere you'd like.
Yes. Can you play third? Caleb Smith knows that all too well.
Good times here on Baseball Card Illustrated. We'll be back with another pack of 2020 Topps Heritage right after this.
It's a team effort here at Baseball Card Illustrated, and Kevin and I would like to thank our friend Dylan for putting together this sweet graphic for our channel. We will be featuring more of the work of the graphics wizard here in the weeks and months ahead. Thanks, Dylan. You're all right. We thank you for watching, and here's the next pack of 2020 Topps Heritage here on Baseball Card Illustrated.
Baseball Card Illustrated, where we have a little fun. Ha, just kidding, Javi Baez. Taking a look at that card, it is one in every 457 packs, so you get one of those little cards.
Wow. Okay,
what
so
a pull.
You've got some value on that one right there.
Just a little.
Just don't make him mad.
Okay, pack number 3 coming up here, and we'll take Javi. We'll set him aside, and we'll throw up well, we won't throw up. We'll put up a San Diego Padre.
Dinelson Lamet, and he apparently is doing this on the roof of his complex in Arizona.
I met him once.
Did you lament meeting him?
Oh boy, I think we're all lamenting that, so we'll just move on.
Okay, Luke Jackson. There's a real life thing about Luke Jackson, which I probably should be doing more baseball card stories and fewer real life stories. You see what he's doing here with the fingers? I think he was doing that in real life because every time I watch Luke Jackson pitch, he was the Braves closer for a chunk of last year, 2019, and every time he would pitch, he was serving up home runs and giving up runs. My first thought was, how does he hang on to his job? But secondly,
Well, like that.
yeah, he's the batters appreciate it because he's apparently tipping his pitches. Here, I'm going to throw this now. You hit this.
By the way, if you're wondering, we have not yet pulled a short print, but we'll keep looking for
Short print's
those.
coming. Oh,
It sounds like a teaser, doesn't it?
It's just weird. Freddie Galvis is a Cincinnati Red. It's just weird to me. You know, like he was a Philly. That might be a really good airbrush job. Are we sure he's with the Reds? Because the airbrush artists have gotten better. Well, I suppose that background is very Reds there.
I'm going to say, and you look at the offseason that the Reds have, they've made some moves, that's for sure.
They signed everybody. Yeah, and Galvis is a good player. I think he's underrated, but yeah, he just looks weird. He's not a Philly.
Moving on to a pitcher here, we got Jack Flaherty from the Cardinals.
Man, now see, there's a classic 1971 pose. Put a thought bubble on Jack Flaherty there. What's going on?
I think they wore the same uniform back in 1971 is what he's thinking.
He's looking off like, if I pose for this real fast, maybe they'll leave the concession stand open. I can get some churros. I think that's what's happening there.
Or he's hoping he doesn't leave a pitch in the zone that can be hit like that one.
Woo! Kurt Suzuki, well, you could tell he squared that up too. Look at the form on that. Kurt Suzuki is another player who I am pretty sure was in the 1971 top set. The set that the 2020 Heritage is modeled after. By the way, the red, yellow, blue, like this is vintage. Like I feel like if I flipped on an old vintage television, like a tiny little television, color but not real good color, I would see an ad for Kodak, and everything in the ad would look like this photo. The red, the yellow, the blue, you can even hear the announcer, and it's, of course, it's 1971, so it's really bad quality. It's like, your pictures come out perfectly, and that's what you have. But yeah, that's trash can or not, that thing was hittable.
Jake Arrieta's next, and this has nothing at all to do with Jake Arrieta, but one thing we talked about on our last edition of Baseball Card Illustrated is a little battle we're going to have between Team Kevin and Team Bronko.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So we've got the lineups established, and we'll put those on screen here in a minute, and we're going to see over the course of this whole season who comes up with more of their cards, or their players, I should say,
right,
throughout the course of, I guess, 2020.
You and I have picked our favorites at each position over the last 40 or so years. Some tough decisions in there. We had to kind of balance players that we liked, players that were good, players, because you have favorite players for many reasons. So anybody who had Jake Arrieta as their favorite player is wondering who this guy is on the card. Because that's not Jake Arrieta. He's missing 20 pounds of beard. Isn't he? There's at least 15
I was going to say, I was looking to
missing.
see if it was a short print or something like...
Oh, can we do this real quick, by the way?
Sure, absolutely.
The backside of the 71s, the 1971s, and now the 2020 Topps Heritage are very cool because there was a large photo on the back. I'm not sure, but I think this was the first time, or at least one of the first times in Topps history, that there was a photo on the back of the card. So that was a very cool moment in Topps history, and the back looks just like the 71 back. So, but that Arrieta also no beard, or very little beard. That is his version of clean shaven.
I was going to say he dressed nicely and did all that good stuff for that particular photo day that we talked about earlier.
I always thought Wellington Castillo would be a winner as a baseball player because he's missing an L. It's a Spanish spelling of Wellington. I get it, but. It's missing an L. There's one L in Wellington, so it's kind of like how many E's in Jose Offerman?
Any chance they call him Beef around the clubhouse? Scott Oberg, was that terrible?
Oh, well, he looks like it's terrible too. All right, so over under when that picture was taken. 7:10 in the morning, 6:50 in the morning.
I'm gonna say he kind of looks like he's hiding with his like. Here, don't photograph me.
That sun was up, but he's like, need coffee.
I was going to say, and if... trying to see if the sun's in here or anything.
I mean, it's up, I think.
Yeah, you can see that the sun's in there toward the bottom of the card. But it's possible they did take the photo quite early in the morning if it was taken at spring training.
Yeah, because that happens. For example, the Brewers photo day. Most of those photos happen between 6 and 8 a.m., which, I mean, even for normal people, that's kind of early to get your photo taken.
I'm going to say Tom Murphy, though, was not affected by this because he looks wide awake.
Okay, he looks like he has a glove on his head and another one on his left hand there. Doesn't he?
Well, he actually, if you watch him very closely in a game, you can go watch a video of this. When a runner is trying to steal, he receives the pitch, stands up, lifts the mask, and then throws because it helps with his vision. It's not a very effective strategy for throwing people out, but he commits very few throwing errors that way.
The catcher is the one guy that doesn't get true face time, right? In baseball, one of the things you have over football is you know by facial recognition what a guy looks like, because in uniform you can tell. It's not the case for a catcher when he's catching. So,
Look at me, Ma!
yeah, that was me. You thought it was somebody else.
And we'll be back with more Baseball Card Illustrated after we lift our mask and go do things like throw to second. We'll throw the ball around the infield and open our last pack right after this.
Having fun is the name of the game here on Baseball Card Illustrated. If you're enjoying what you're watching, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Now, back to the cards.
Baseball Card Illustrated rolls on. We took the time to check out Javi Baez, this Bazooka Mini here, and it kind of goes a little bit over the map here. He had, what was it, one auction went off for like $2, another for $6 or $7. so it could be worth anything.
Here's a pro tip: try to sell at 7 and buy at 2.
That's an interesting idea.
Take that to your baseball card stock market.
Run and tell that.
Oh boy, 1971 is the parallel or the design of these 2020 Topps Heritage cards, and they're a ton of fun. Although if you don't instantly save these in something that will preserve their condition, they will literally chip while you're looking at them.
Sorry, I was looking at the next card here. I should probably focus on Ian Happ a little bit here, player from the Cubs, and just wait to see what we got next. Should we just move on?
Yeah. So
Okay.
Ian has a relative, Ethan, that played for the Badgers basketball team, and we're on. Oh,
How about that?
baby! Oh, that's big.
Now you know I was distracted.
Yeah, that's a big one. Gavin Lux, native of Kenosha, Wisconsin, who has become probably the top, or at least one of the top prospects in baseball. He's going to take over at second base. And I think it's better for the rest of baseball that there's no 2020 season, at least through the first month or two, because the Dodgers might have an all-star at every position because Gavin Lux is really good. And if he's an all-star player off the bat, they might have an all-star at every single position.
Yeah, he's a guy that every team that the Dodgers have talked to about trade upgrades, whether it's Francisco Lindor, Josh Hader, anybody, that's one of the guys that every team wants. And the Dodgers, who certainly could have the luxury of making a deal like that, they've decided to hang on to him. So I think that lets you know everything you need to know about his prospects.
Also, we have a little photographic wizardry going on here, because when I first looked at this Gavin Lux card, I thought because Dustin May's got a lot of hair, okay?
And he's a pretty good prospect in his own right.
He is a good pitcher. Gavin Lux does not have a lot of hair, but the way this looks, you can't tell. Gavin Lux might have a little ponytail off to the side here, or that might be a tree behind Dustin May. So there's this tree line background behind those guys at 5:40 in the morning when they took these pictures. You don't know who has hair and who doesn't.
After that pull, it's a little bit hard to move on, but fight on we will.
There it is, Nathan Eovaldi. Red Sox pitcher. Now, the weird thing about that is it looks more like a portrait. I wonder, sometimes these cards have parallels in the actual set. So I'm going to grab Eovaldi for a second. He is card 140 in the 1971 set. So I'm just curious or in the 2020 set, I'm curious if 1971 Topps with the same number has some sort of similar photo on it. No. But card 140 is Gaylord Perry.
They were both pitchers.
Yeah, that's a little bit of pressure for you there, Eovaldi. There's Gaylord Perry. Yeah, there you go.
I don't think Eovaldi was ever convicted of, or not convicted, that's the right word, I'm sure. Known for throwing split finger or spitters.
The split finger was also criminal, but in a different way.
Well, I saw Roger Craig, so
Yeah.
you can see why I was confused.
Splitter and a spitter.
Now, we talked earlier about guys on new teams this year, and here's one that is in his old uniform.
So these cards came out late enough that you probably could have done a Brewers mock-up. And by the way, one of the coolest parts, you know this, anybody that collects remembers this, one of the coolest parts was the insane airbrush jobs that Topps would do with their players. And somebody that was traded and you didn't have a picture of them in their new uniform, they would airbrush it up, they would mock it up. And some of those mock-ups were awful, but they were good in being awful. They were in that very narrow window, what I call the Bismarcky window. So bad, it's really, really good. And that would have been a fun time to do that. You know, just take his little Mariners thing out and, you know, airbrush a Brewers logo. There's not a lot of team logo on that one.
Well, I was going to say, or how hard would it have been just to change Mariners to Brewers?
Right. Just did that line at the top, and there you go. We were talking about really, really bad airbrush jobs. And there's one that always comes to mind. Hopefully you can see this okay. There is 1986 Topps traded Bob McClure. And look at the M on that hat. Look at that. That was not the original hat.
Well, the Expos always had financial problems, so it's possible that they actually took a hat and had to color it in. Kind of like the Lou Whitaker All-Star Game jersey when he had to go to the consent or the souvenir stand and buy it and put his own number on it so he could play.
I'm thinking Alfredo Griffin now, and that's a great All-Star story too.
There's Daniel Murphy.
Finally moving to first base after a few years as an ineffective second baseman. So Murphy is having a rare pose here in that he's on a backswing and he's looking at something as if he's hit something in the air a long way. And as those of you who know, his Colorado career has not looked like that. Most of the time his head has been down after a strikeout in his Colorado career. He's one of the rare players that's gone to Colorado and been much worse.
That's actually his driver. They caught him on the golf course.
He airbrushed in the bat. Batting leaders. They are good at batting.
And telling you exactly what they are leading. Batting.
We are the best with the bats.
Well, I'm going to say with Christian Yelich on this card, it literally could be anything.
No, that's the...
So he really is leading in batting.
Yeah. The only thing that tells you that this is batting average is the Ketel Marte edition. Because Anthony Rendon's another guy. He was great in a lot of categories the last few years. But if it's Ketel Marte, it's batting average. Oh, look at that.
How about that?
Okay, so one of the classic 71 designs was to take a photo and put it on its side, which was an extreme rarity in 1971. Extreme rarity. Can you do me a favor? What number is that card?
395, I believe.
Oh, okay. So it's,
yeah, 395.
I keep looking for parallels, and they're not there. But can I show you a parallel? But it instantly came to mind. I hope you don't mind that I'm doing like all of this on my phone right now. There is the 1971 Thurman Munson card. See the similarity? Mm-hmm. It's on its side, action photo at home plate. Like that's, and I think it's safe to say that Judge is to these Yankees what Munson was to those Yankees. He's not a catcher, but he's heart and soul kind of guy. Oh, that's a great card. That's one of those cards that makes you smile.
And from that we go to Brad Hand.
Brad Hand. Brad Left Hand. Because he is a lefty.
And we finish off pack number 4, Kirby Yates.
Wait a minute. Brad Hand was replaced by Kirby Yates. This is a lineage thing. He was the Padres closer, if I'm not mistaken, and then when he went to Cleveland, he became the Padres closer. Now, granted, you might be able to be the Padres. I haven't seen you pitch in a long time. You might have good enough stuff to be the Padres closer right now. Sorry, Kirby.
Not the way that Kirby pitched last year.
Yeah, Kirby was actually...
He was getting it done in 2019.
Useful for that team. This is a fun set because it brings back memories, and because the photos are a little 1971 reminiscent. I mean, clearly, you know, modern cards don't look like that pose, but those bring back memories. Topps does one of the best jobs I think of any set with these heritage cards because seeing these makes me want to go look at a bunch of 1971s.
We'll be right back with one final bonus segment here on Baseball Card Illustrated and our look at 2020 Topps Heritage. A new feature here on Baseball Card Illustrated is trying to acquire autographs through the mail. We'll send in 1 or 2 cards from each set of packs that we open, hoping to get it signed and returned to us. In 2020 Topps Heritage, we're going to go with Josh Hader. This is something new that we're doing, so we don't have any results yet, but check back for future episodes to see how we've done. Now on to the next pack. Bonus segment time here on Baseball Card Illustrated, and we're going to open 1 extra pack of 2020 Topps Heritage. I'll let you have the fun of doing that.
Ooh, thank you.
And we'll just cycle through these pretty quick, because we want to talk a little bit about a charity, or not a charity, a drive that's going on by another channel called Daddy Daughter Breaks, and what they're doing is they're going to be collecting some baseball cards that they want to distribute to children who are in hospitals and things like that. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time here as we close out our look at 2020 Topps Heritage. We're going to include this in the pack that we send down to Clay and Sydney, who run that channel, and they can have some fun with 2020 Topps Heritage and some of the other cards that we pulled here on Baseball Card Illustrated. And if you're interested, I would recommend that you go, and we'll link this up at the bottom, and we'll even put it on the screen for you if you want to go check out their channel. It's a fun channel where a father and daughter kind of bond over opening packs of baseball cards and some other stuff. Anything good here in this pack? I've been just kind of making sure I mention everything I want to get in.
I saved the best 2 for the last 2. Admittedly, when I opened the pack, I held back 2 cards. Jose Barrios.
Okay, that's a good one.
I think is just about as underrated a pitcher as you can have. He has been, for an ace, he has been absolutely phenomenal for the Twins. But look at this one. I think these are 2 of the best rookies going right now. Yordan Alvarez from the Astros and Aristides Aquino from the Reds. And if you followed your stats, if you were playing fantasy last year, these 2 dudes won people some titles. Aquino was a prolific home run hitter in Cincinnati, and Yordan Alvarez looks like a potential star to be in Houston. So I don't have any sort of price guide or whatever in front of me, but that card right there is one of the best ones I think we pulled, because that is true rookie star power. Quick look to see if there are any short prints, and we do have one.
Oh, there we go. How's that for a way to end the video?
John Duplantier. It's probably Duplantier or something, but
and he is on Duplantier. Wow, that's hard to say. Duplantier way to St. Louis. Wow, easy for me to say.
What a great idea, by the way, to help out a cause like that. And one of the great things that baseball card collecting did was to unite. Well, it united us as a generation, but I think it united fathers and sons and fathers and daughters too, and it became a family event. And one of the cool things about 2020 is you hear these stories. There's an ESPN article right now about someone who has basically, with all this free time on their hands, has gone into their basement and broken into 150,000 cards that they had, and they're reliving history. And so it's great to be a part of that. Drive, that idea, and to contribute to that is phenomenal. So you're getting a short print.
Excellent. So we'll be sending off those cards and more to Cards for Kids. On behalf of Jose Barrios, Yordan Alvarez, and Aristides Aquino, I'm Bronko.
And I'm Kevin.
And this was 2020 Topps Heritage.